Doop 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 doop. All right, let me finish getting all set up. And let's see, we've got some code that we did. We've got some code that we need to run. We've got some server that's up and needs to run. And I need to start cleaning this up, cleaning this project up for presentation. So that is going to be the last step today, and then next week I get to start recording. Okay, let's see. Still taking a little while, but let's see what I can get on in the meantime. So let's see. I think for the time being, I might drop the, well, definitely gonna drop the users. We're not doing that yet. User. Let's get rid of that. Sessions we're not using, so we're gonna get rid of... Actually, I'm gonna try and come back and get the Flash messages working again, because for some reason it's still bothering me that it's not. Types, okay, cool, we're using that in like one spot. Utilities, cool, we're using that. Let's go to components. I'm using all of these. I didn't finish my dialogue component, which I would like to, so let's see if I can get that set up. Public build, cool. We've got our uploads folder, and yeah, I think everything here is looking good. This design thing we can get rid of because we're feeling pretty good about our designs. I really like that color purple, but I'm not going to be using it. So get rid of you. Yup. This production env file I don't think we're using, so I'm going to delete that. Post CSS config, are we using it? I don't think we're using post CSS config either, so let me, yeah, let's delete that. Let's see. Try restarting this server, and looks like Tailwind is going to work. All right, we've got our design. It's looking good. I mean, you know, good for something that I worked on, so. Awesome. Feeling good about that. Feeling good. I feel like maybe this whole thing should be in a card component. Or maybe inspect, let's see. Maybe like this whole section should be Background white. Margin 1 rem auto. Border 1 pixel solid gray. Something like that. Border radius 1 rem. Oh no. That way, if I go here, we'll see. We'll see about that. See about that one. So let's see, what do we got? Because I feel like on this page, this is kind of an alright layout. On this page, I kind of want like a page wrapper here, which I guess I can do from here on down. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do routes, pet, index, and we're gonna do, whoop, around this whole thing, we're gonna do the layout. And throw a wrapper around everything. Div. Thank you. Throw it all the way around it. That's inside the layout, right? Yes. And we're gonna say class name equals margin. Well, we're gonna say background white. Background white. Let's start with that. And let's see what we've got. That did not work. Henrietta, where's your, where's my thing? Something broken here? Ah, something's broken there. There we go. Okay, I guess that needs to be div. Something like that. That looks more right. What's up, Stony? What's going on? Which Twitch notification that I was on, or yeah, I was a little bit late today, but it's okay. You haven't missed much because we're just giving Henrietta here a little makeover, little layout makeover. We're gonna do border, background white, padding of 1 rem. And we'll do rounded. Cool. How do I do? I feel like this should have a 2 pixel border. Border width 1 pixel. I feel like it should be like 2 pixels. Should be 2 pixels. Border. What do I got? Border dash large. Border. Oh, Tailwind, you subscribe to my YouTube channel and Twitch is 5 minutes later to notify you that. Wait, you subscribed on YouTube and Twitch notified you that I was live. You got the notification on Twitch that I was live on YouTube? I'm sorry, Tony. It's hard for me to understand things sometimes. Please don't be upset. Let's see. Tailwind CSS. We're finishing this up today. We figured out how to deploy it. We're not going to do Docker, but we will in the next series. And yeah, feeling pretty good about it. I also have an unrelated thing I want to ask you about. Maybe if we get some more people on the stream, I'll check it out. But let's see. I wanted to look up border size, border width. Yeah, border width. Border 2. Okay, cool. I guess I can probably just do that, right? Booyah! There's Henrietta. Cool. That's looking good. Okay, Stony, something else that you're going to be happy about is, let's see, we are going to change something to do with the database. We are going to change a decision that I had made, which I don't necessarily regret, but I think that we can do a little bit better. Let's see, Zod. That's right, Zod. Forgot about you. I'm going to delete you. We may keep you later. We're going to try this. We're going to try the Zod thing. I guess we're not going to try the Zod thing. Okay, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. I need to clean this up so that it's ready, like finished. Zod. Yeah, Zod Prisma. Let's see if I can get this working, because this actually sounds like a cool thing to take advantage of if we can. The other one that I wanted to work on, let's see, Zod Prisma ERD generator. See if we can get that one set up. Zod Prisma. Zod Prisma. CD Boy UK. What is Zod like? Your BA wants to use it in production code. It does type error checks at runtime. Your badass wants to use it. Zod is great, but it does not do type error checks at runtime necessarily. So there's a lot of folks that use it. I don't know if you've used Yup before, but Zod is a runtime type checking, or sorry, it's a runtime validation tool. And where type checking comes in is during dev time. So I guess I'm being a little bit pedantic to say that yes, it does that sort of like runtime type checking, but it's not like you write TypeScript and then from the TypeScript it converts that to runtime code. It's that you write schemas which are used for runtime validation, but then that schema also generates a type. So you can say, what's a good example? Let me see. I have it here. So I have this schema here using Zod, where I'm saying this schema is an object, and this object has certain things on it, including name, type, birthday, image ID. I'm saying, you know, one's a string, this is an enum, birthday has to be a date, and image ID is another string, right? So as far as this is concerned, yeah, pet schema is an object, but I can say const, let's see, r equals, not used yup. You have chosen Prisma for your ORM though. Okay, you don't need Zod. You can use yup, you can use whatever validation thing you want. Zod works really well because it has a slightly better TypeScript support than yup, but you haven't used yup, so who cares? But I guess the big benefit there is if you're going to do one validation tool, a lot of them work, you know, as long as it works at runtime, that's all that really matters, right? But you get a lot of dev time. There needs to be a better term for that. Like, what's the opposite of runtime? And it's not compile time, like while you're writing it. During dev time, you get a lot of benefits that are given to you from like TypeScript, right? So I could say pet schema dot, what is it, parse, and then, I don't know, I'll give it an object, right? So I don't have TypeScript enabled per se, but I have, I do have, well, whatever. It's not a TypeScript file, it's a JavaScript file, but I do have TypeScript configured to check my JavaScript. So what we get as a result anyway is this parsed response thing is going to tell me that it's like R is this object with birthday, which is optional, image ID, which is optional, a guaranteed name and a guaranteed type, and those are strings, right? So I can like play with it and do like R dot you know, name, whatever. I can log that. That's the benefit of using the TypeScript stuff. I feel like that's not actually, okay, it is parse. I'm using this differently somewhere else. What was it? Not parse. Dot. What is it? Default describe, omit, parse async, safe parse. I think that's what I want. Yeah, no, that's not it either. Is it? R dot something? Yeah, okay. So this is another interesting approach is if you use the parse method, it will just take whatever input and return the output. Another important thing when considering these sorts of validation tools is, yeah, you want it to maybe like tell you if the input does not match the schema, but the story doesn't stop there, right? You want to know, is this library going to just report whether it has an error or not? Is it going to throw an exception that I have to then catch? Is it going to do any sort of coercion? So if I get something that's a string of a number and I expect it to be a number, will it coerce that as the output into that number? Meaning if I have, let's see, so if I have like, let's say, I don't know, whatever, favorite number, right? And I expect it to be a z dot number, right? If I pass in an object that is favorite num, and for some reason we pull that out of a query string parameter, which comes as a string, not a value, and that query string parameter value is 1 because, you know, the favorite number is 1. What will the output be? Will it be coerced into a number? So R, let's see, I'm going to say this is const results, and this is going to be, actually I'm just going to say like this. If I had to guess, I would just log the error, right? I don't know if I want to do any coercing or throw exceptions. Well, it's not going to log an error on its own. So let me walk through these couple of scenarios, and yeah, it kind of depends on your organization, I'd say. So we've got success, we've got error, I think, right? Error? No? We've got data, should be on there. Oh, come on. Data should be on there. So it should have been suggesting these things to me. Success. Are you going to tell me what it is? Success is any. Really? That's not right. Okay. Okay, let me see. Pet. I need to see where I'm actually using this. Dot. Create person ID. Say parse. Yeah, that's how you use it. Interesting. Okay. Let's not worry about that for now. But the way that this works, where was it? Here. The way that this works is, yeah, it's going to give me a success, it's going to give me an error, and it's going to give me a data. And I don't know why it's not giving me that information right now, but success will be a Boolean, right? So with the normal parse, it will just run. With safe parse, it will not throw an error. So then I can say, if it's not successful, then I can console log maybe some details of the error. I think if you're doing validation checks, probably doesn't make sense to log a validation error. After all, that's not really like something went wrong with the system. That's like someone submitted some data that is not valid data, right? So maybe you don't log it, but you do something else, right? You probably return those error messages to the user, right? Do something with error, right? And then the other cool thing is, you know, then you, whatever, you like return early. Otherwise, you're down here and you can say data's clean, right? Whatever, clean. So then another question becomes, when in your validation strategy, is what happens here, right? So I have Zod by default, everything is required unless you mark it as optional with the .optional flag. So what happens if I don't provide all of the data that's required? Obviously that would throw an error. But if I did have like the other non-optional things, so name is whatever, Austin, type is going to be bird, I don't know. Let's see, birthday is optional, image ID is optional, favorite number is required. So these are all the required things, but we have that other question of coercion. I personally like when things get coerced because then I don't have to like think about it or account for edge cases like this. If this is a number, yeah, if it's a number, then I would expect data dot favorite num to equal the number one, not the string one, right? I personally like coercion. Zod doesn't do that for you out of the box. They do give you a way to run this like pre-process thing, which is great. So my pre-process here basically says, hey, if you get a value, try and convert that value to a date, otherwise just return undefined. That way I can accept things like a string that looks like a date, a number in milliseconds that looks like a date, or a date object. So I do that. What are some other things with validation? Oh, the other thing with validation is what happens if you get something like, I don't know, poop. No thank you, right? Whatever, it can be, this can be whatever value. The question is, what should the data that comes out of this safe parse request do with extra parameters? And I believe Zod will remove them. And I'm sure that there's a way to, if it doesn't, I'm sure there's a way to tell it to remove those. If it does remove them, let's see, actually. Let's see, because I had it in here somewhere. If it does remove them, then I think there's probably a way to tell it not to. So let's see, R, that's complaining because it should have a comma, yep. R is assigned a value. Yeah, so this is always just going to return whatever values are there. It's not going to return the other stuff. So how do I like Zod? I like it compared to Yup. It seems to help me with writing stuff. Yup is also fantastic, also has good TypeScript support. Yes, that's correct. So that also gets kind of weird, right? Because then it raises an interesting question around, well, a couple of interesting questions around. First question is, does the schema that you're defining correspond one-to-one with the database schema, right? And I think the immediate answer, the intuitive answer is yes, but in reality, I think that it's more like, I don't know, kind of sometimes maybe, because Save parse with error and success, and always work with original data. Yeah, and well, the other thing with Zod is you can say, hey, I want to check if the data is good, and either use what it returns back as the data, or use the original data, right? But when deciding if you're going to use, if your schema, your validation schema, is going to match the database, JavaScript and databases work differently, unless you're living in a Mongo database world, right? But you may have like default values at the schema level, or you may have default values at the database level, and those don't necessarily always coincide. Or you might say a database schema can accept any value for this column, right? But your validation schema is going to say, well, I want to limit it to one of these 5 different options, and you can do that at the database level or at the validation level. But those it's really hard to guarantee that validation schema always lives before data is added to a database, which brings me to the next point, which is, when is the right time to validate? Do you validate when data comes into the system? So you end up with like a walled garden scenario where, I mean, almost the intuitive answer to me is, yeah, you validate when the data comes in, whatever's coming in from the user, right? But then what happens if you run a script, like you're logged into the system as a privileged user, you've SSH'd in, you want to run a node script, something that is like a process that isn't a process in response to a network request. It's just a process that you do as maintenance, maybe, I don't know, maybe some database cleanup or a cron job that has to run every once in a while, right? That's not in response to a user, so you don't have to validate the data coming in. But if you maybe execute a script against like Prisma, or that incorporates Prisma, that does some work on the database, you may think, well, shouldn't that also be validated? So now, if we're already inside of this like walled garden scenario, maybe we need another layer of validation, right? So then we validate either at when the data comes in from the user at the API boundaries, or we validate only right before the data actually writes to the database. And I don't think, I still haven't solved this. I still haven't come up with a good solution, because if you only do it at the boundary, then you open yourself up to internal scripts that can write to the database without getting that validation check. That's the downside. If you only write data, or if you only validate data right before it actually writes to the database, then you have all of the work that's done up until that point with data that you're not even sure if it's valid or not. And that could even be like costing you money, because now you run some processes, and all of the work that gets done during those processes up until the point of validation is wasted, because then it gets to the validation check and then it says, oh, that's an invalid request, return, a 403 or 401 or whatever. And yeah, wasted time. Like maybe you sent an email or I don't know, something like that. Also, validating data that comes in an API layer isn't necessarily, it doesn't always match exactly data that needs to be written to a database. I've never used Nest, but Fastify is awesome. And so you may want to say, yeah, I have a bunch of work that needs to be done. I need some of the data that comes in to be validated, but that data is going to be like mutated or shifted, or only like pluck some of the data for this operation, some of the data for this other operation. And then you have like, you kind of have to validate any sort of database request, or maybe like validate that you're about to send an email and you guarantee that you have a name and an email address and a subject line or something like that, right? So I think more and more you kind of need validation at the API entry point and at the database writing point, which feels redundant, but there's just too many times that it's like inconsistencies or inconsistencies or like potential cracks that errors can get through. Or just don't write bad code, you know, I guess. Doesn't work for me. Anyway, so yeah, I'm using Zod, and Prisma has these things called generators. So custom generator. Apparently what you can do with these, Zod Prisma, is you can add these generators. There's one generator. The Prisma client is its own generator. And then let's see. Yeah, we're going to say provider is Zod Prisma, output there. And then we'll leave all of these default things because why not? Model case, suffix, sure. Use decimal, true. I don't know what that does. But I'm going to leave all of these default things set. And I'll even get rid of this comment. Cool. I'm going to do that. I'm going to leave the provider as Postgres, I think. Makes sense. The validator is the entrance. People can sneak in the back way. If the validator is at the exit, data goes to DB. We are validating after letting them trample on the grass. Yeah, exactly. And even then, there's still that little wiggle room of like, now you have to make sure anytime that you make changes to the database that your schema is up to date, right? Because keeping that parity between your database validator and the database schema can be a pain. Yeah, generally you probably don't do that very frequently. And also this is like one of those potential solutions, which also gets a little bit weird because again, uh-oh, did I break something? Error parsing relation, much unique feel on defining side. Oh, okay, I broke something. What did I break? Let's undo everything. Okay, everything is undone and you're still yelling at me. Okay, well, I guess it's just complaining that I need a unique field. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, they fly a helicopter into the garden, exactly. Or dig under the wall. Yeah, so there's tools like this. Well, so the thing that gets tricky is like your actual level of the allowances that you afford might be different in terms of like strictness based on validation and based on the actual database schema. Like I might want to say in my validator, only allow these 5 available fields, but then the database, as far as the database is concerned, it's like, yeah, I'll take whatever string you want, right? And that might actually be the right approach, but then if you generate your validator based on your database schema, that's not a consistent, like your validator is going to be looser in strictness, if that makes sense. So I want to check this out because I'm curious about this sort of approach, but I also don't think that it's necessarily great. It seems synchronicity between Prisma and schema and the Zod schema. So you do, but when you use a generator like this, it will generate Zod schemas based on whatever is in your Prisma schema. So that's kind of the nice thing is this automates that process. And one thing I didn't mention that would probably make this whole like, oh, what about cases where you have a difference between database and ideal JS validator, right? Tools like Zod or Yup, they generally have a good mechanism for extending an existing schema or modifying an existing schema. You can like clone it or merge it or omit certain fields. So maybe if I have like a pet database schema, right? And I use a generator from Zod, Zod's going to generate a pet JS validator schema. But I don't have to use that exactly as it comes out. I can take that and then import it in another file and then just like clone it, right? And say, hey, in this case, when we create a new pet, take the Zod database schema and modify it in this way, and but still use it, if that makes sense. So let's see. We're gonna basically blow the database away. I'm gonna get in. Where am I gonna get in? What's this? Huh, did this actually run? I think that actually ran when I hit save. Yeah, it totally did. Yeah, so we got Zod error. Okay. Interesting. What I wanted to do, I needed to run the Prisma generate command to actually make this do anything. I'm gonna get rid of that, so those are kind of on the same line there. And then I really want to figure out why this is complaining about something. Error parsing attribute relation. A one-to-one relationship must use unique fields. This is a one-to-one relationship. It's using a unique field. Well, first of all, person, you're gone anyway. Upload, you're gonna still be there. Person, maybe that's the issue. So person, we're gonna get rid of the person. No, just that was not an issue. This is fine. User, we're gonna get rid of for today. So client, pet. I'm gonna move upload below pet. That's gonna be easier to understand before. Okay, and then pet birthday does not make sense to default to now, which means I don't need a default. Breaking the data. Yeah, we're gonna be breaking the database, baby. You know, if we're not breaking something on this stream, is it really an Austin Gill stream? I don't think so. Type. I think I'm gonna change this to breed. So the breed of pet. And then let's see, we've got an image, we've got an image ID, we don't need the default. I do want to have a created, which is a date time and is going to default to now, which is whenever it's created. The ID is going to be a string. It's going to be an ID. Okay, yeah, you know what, Stony, we got Docker going, so don't you worry. We're gonna default, and I just found out today that Prisma supports CUIDs. Print through on Zod. I'll have to let you know if we end up using it on your project. Yeah, come back and hey, thanks for the follow, by the way. Let me know. Hit me up on Twitter, same link, hey Austin Gill, because so far it's been good. I've really liked Yup, and I've really liked Zod more so, and before Yup I used Joy, and I like Yup more than Joy, J-O-I. So if that one sounds familiar, maybe that'll be the same for you. Otherwise, if you don't like it, if you hate it, let me know, because I'd be curious to hear what parts are where the rough edges are. Okay, we're going to do the same here with the upload. That's going to default to a CUID, which means when we actually create, we've got the name type birthday. We don't need to generate the data.id. We don't need to do that. We don't need to use, am I reusing this somewhere? Data. I'm not, I'm just generating an ID. Cool, don't need to do that. Hello, there you go. Don't need to do this. Cool, that makes it a lot, not a lot easier, but it makes it easier. And we can get rid of that. And Stony, this one is going to be for you. You're so used to Docker breaking something on a well-established computer environment. Yeah, well, you know, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to see. I have Docker desktop. So presumably, let me turn my screen off and just see what. Yeah, I think I'm not currently using the local Docker. So give me 1 second. Just hide my env details. No, we are using the local Postgres. Cool. So let's see, Postgres. Yeah, Postgres is up and running. Great. Which means, Stony, maybe this is something that you know. I haven't figured out a good way to essentially like update the database with Prisma without blowing everything away, basically. You're still waiting for the game, I know. Still waiting for the game, you know. I don't know what you're talking about. So let's see. We're gonna try this. We're gonna do npmx, DMX, npx, Prisma, migrate, dev. And this is gonna complain to me about something. Look at what you see. Oh, yeah. Waiting for the game. Gotcha. Yeah, that was like, I used something that was kind of like a template. And I can edit it, but I didn't know what I was supposed to do with that part. Whatever, Stony. Hello, Prisma. Okay, so we've got that one. I also had this Prisma ERD generator, and this one didn't work the last time I tried it. But it would be really cool. NPX Prisma generate, that's what it is. Oh, don't do the thing. Cool, it didn't actually do it. NPX Prisma generate. So that should output some Zod things. If this will actually wake up. Let's see if maybe in Ubuntu we're gonna get it. No? Did I just break it? I wonder if I just broke it. Okay, let me see. I also want to do a Prisma updated time. Updated at. So this is another updated at. This is another question that I kind of have, which is let's see. Oh, that looked like it. Schema reference. Let's see. Updated at. Was it there? Yeah, updated at. Update dat. Updated at. There it is. Okay. Automatically stores the time when a record was last updated. Signature. Daytime. Updated at. Cool. That's perfect. That's what I wanted. I'm actually just gonna, copy that. Created at and updated at. And do they have a created at too? They don't. But you don't really need it because it's going to default, or you have the default now. So cool, we've got created at, we've got updated at. We're gonna do the same here. And I think that's what I want. Created at, updated at, ID, name, URL, size. I feel like size should be like bytes. Just to not be confusing. Is it bytes or bits? I guess it's bytes. Size, whatever. Type, and then the pet that it's associated with. This is just saying that the image ID references the ID and needs to be unique. Did I just need to do this? ID unique. No? No? I think that's just a... I think that's not actually true, because IDs in general are going to be unique, right? So, cool, we got that. It looks like Prisma finally came around to something. Environment variables load from EMV. Generate Prisma client, generated Zod schemas, cool. It did generate my Zod schemas. We've got the pet and we've got the upload. But it only generates them as TypeScript files. That's right, that was the problem that I had with Zod. Which is kind of annoying. Okay, well, we're not going to use that. We're not going to use that, but we might check this one out. Better generator, ERD, let's go here, do that, and let's try that one more time. Cool. I'm gonna need to do this as well. All of these dog images. Those will be great. Poor Phil. Oh, because the TypeScript thing? Did we get it? Did we get it? Prisma environment variable loaded. Prisma schema loaded. Oh, this probably takes a long time to generate, I bet. That's okay. Then we'll get something that looks like this, which I'm excited for. Automatically. And if we do that, and it automatically generates to the page, I can just have it like in the README referenced. Hopefully. Okay, in the meantime, we're going to look at something else. So, I have a nice little website, in case you've never been there, at austingill.com. It was a very, very tough domain name to get, but, you know, pulled some strings. Anyway, that's me. And let's see. Yeah, so one thing that I'm working on is sort of working on the vibe of the imagery and having this kind of brushstroke, grungy sort of thing. And I've lately been starting to get into these like clip art sort of posterized images, almost kind of realistic, but also kind of like funky. Obviously not for something like this where it's like more specific content. And I am working on a couple. I guess I got rid of them. Did I have them? Okay, I can bring them back. I wanted to see if anyone had opinions on some of these things. Where are they? Undo, undo, undo. Yeah, let's see. Is there anything going to be down here? Cool. Do any of these stand out that you like the look of? Like, I'm going for... Right. So I'm going for a sort of the blog post that's going to be... Hey, oh, Phils, what's going on? Oh. Sorry, Phils. Glad you made it. But yeah, as far as like, I'm starting to write some content. I have a blog post that's coming out about setting up a Caddy server on Ubuntu. So it's a lot more terminal focused work. So I wanted to create some new blog post covers around like, I don't know, terminals and servers. So I was like, all right, how about this one? This one's kind of cool. Like an old machine, a server rack, some microchips, and the terminal, of course. And then I thought, you know, the server rack might be a little much, so maybe split it up like that. And then I was like, let's go even more minimal. We've got this one. We've got just the box. We've got just this other like 70s style box. Or we've got this, just the terminal. Terminal only, really. But then that's like so, I don't know, don't you think that's like a little boring? Like, and it also doesn't have the sort of clip arty thing. You always have issues connecting to chat when your PC just booted. I wonder if it's I have no idea what that could be. I mean, it could be I don't know. How is the chat here handled? Do you think it's WebSockets or? I have no idea. So, Stony, just the terminal? Or the terminal and the machine? IRC. IRC. Really? I would have thought IRC or RTC? RTC. WebRTC. Yes, okay, cool. Yeah, because IRC was like, is that even like a protocol, or is that wasn't that like a real IRC? Real IRC. I guess I could, if only there was some website I could go to that I could ask a question to and get answers. Real IRC statistics, international, with extra on top from Twitch itself. Ooh, a little spicy sauce. Why can't I find something? Real IRC web dev. Internet relay chat. Okay. How is this different than WebRTC or RTC, I guess? Developed in Finland, chat is the most convenient way to communicate with others via internet. Okay. Working on IRC. Web-based, web browser like Netscape, Internet Explorer. Okay. Do you know? Oh, thank you. Do you know much of the difference between like pros and cons? Like, have you ever done IRC stuff? Any pros and cons? I've done like a tiny bit of WebRTC, which is really cool because I could like chat directly to your machine without us having to go through any third party. The problem with that is there's something about you can only handle so much traffic, and then you end up needing sort of this intermediary server that's like a turn server performing some ICE protocol. Yeah, I remember that, but or the name stuck out as something old, but I'd like never heard of modern. I've never heard of it in the context of like modern web development, which is such a loaded term anyway. But I'd be curious to hear the difference between that and WebRTC. Anyway, you want your own turn server? I want my own a lot of things. Stony, I'm gonna go ahead and say that you're wrong on this one. I think this is the one that I'm gonna go with. Really love it. I really love clip art. I don't know what about it. It's got such an old feel to it. This is a little bit too out of there, and also kind of takes away the feel, like the need for the terminal. But Stony, if you want, I can give you this one. I can just give you this. You can have it. Well, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. You can say how you know, but IRC servers, more than 400,000 connections on one channel only, and you can have infinite channels. Yeah, but what if I have to scale up? I mean, 400,000 connections. I don't want to pigeonhole myself here, you know? JK. If I ever had 40,000 users on anything I've ever touched, I mean, work has that. Oh, come on, Prisma. Did it even do anything? Is there anything you can show for yourself? Oh, it totally did generate an SVG. Okay, cool. It generated an SVG and then just like silently crapped out, but let's see what we've got. Open containing folder. Where is it? Reveal and explore. Always changing what they say. Okay, reveal and explore. And then we'll just open that up and see what we've got. It's like the most boring ERD diagram ever, but we've got it. Check that out. That's super cool. And with that, what I can do is something like this. Let's see. Gosh, okay. Okay. What do I want to do? Did you know that inside of a README file, I don't need any of this. This is all taken care of now. Inside of a README file, you can tell VS Code that I want to type something and hit enter, and it will autofill the markdown. So you can say like, I want a heading 1, and it will like change that, or I want a list, and it will give you the option to do ordered list, unordered list, and then do the autocomplete for you. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to do this. I don't think I want an alt. I mean, I guess I can do like ERD. Let's see. Application ERD. I want to say ERD diagram, but that sounds redundant. Scratch 0 months. Why not? Better now? Oh, you did get a new badge, Phils. I don't know what you did. I turned off subscription, so let's run No Mercy on IRC. You want 7p chat run like that. No idea what that is. Here it is, 3 months. Wasted too much time already. Yes. I'm on Stony side on this one. Please release something so I can start fuffing around on that. So what I'm going to do here is say that I'm loading this image from I mean, I want to say something like slash Prisma slash ERD SVG, and then if I preview this, I don't think that's actually going to work. Oh, it totally worked! Look at that. So this is super cool, because then in our readmes, we can say something like, you know, like a H2 is going to be an I'm just going to say it, ERD diagram. It kills me, but you know what? You really need that diagram there. Cool. Let's see that. Oops, let's see that one more time. Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know if that's worth it because this mofo made you work on the project just to taunt it. Please punish him. 7 pleasures. Okay, 7 pleasures. I don't know if I can actually show that. I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to show that on the live stream because it might be something for the. It sounds like something for the After Dark program. Cool. Really happy that that worked. just so that I can scrap it. So Stony, I'm really not a good example because I've literally created and then scrapped something in this stream like 3 times already. So sorry. No, do not show. Okay, I will not show. Cool. Regardless, that was still cool to do. I really wanted to play around with generating that ERD in my README and automating that. And the cool thing is, if you modify your Prisma schema, yeah, if I modify my Prisma schema, my README will stay up to date. I mean, at least the ERD would. Okay, so I've generated my client. Now, let's check this out. I need to actually take a look at what my database looks like. We're not using SQLite anymore, which sucks. Honestly, Stony, this is something I'm not going to let go. One thing that Prisma does not do as well as other platforms is support SQLite and Postgres, and I understand why. And I respect their decision why. It's because there is a fundamental difference between Postgres and SQLite, and it would be a lot of extra work for them to, you know, treat them like the same despite the different environment, right? Yeah, but you know, I don't know. Kids might be on the show. You never know. Hey, where'd my dbeaver go? What the? Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. We got it. Close that. Close that. Cool. We're gonna close this and close that, and we're gonna see local Docker. How do I refresh? Database, Postgres, schemas, public, tables. Okay. So I still have my old schema stuff, right? And one thing I need to do is npx Prisma migrate. Like, how do I push a migration file? Create a migration for changes in Prisma schema, apply it to the database, trigger generators. Okay. Reset and apply all migrations. Apply pending migrations to the database in production/staging. Okay, let's check this out. Oops, npx. One migration found. Cool. Prisma schema loaded. Data source. Database schema is up to date, but that's not quite true. npx Prisma migrate dev. You push the latest update to the app. It now works on Android TV with D-pad navigation. That's pretty rad. That is pretty rad. Let's see. We found changes that cannot be executed. Added the required column breed table without a default value. There are 6 rows in this table. It is not possible to execute this step. Right, you can use create only. Okay. And manually modify it to address the underlying issues, then run. Right, so this is the thing that I also don't love about Prisma. Is if I want to do a migration, I have to actually write the SQL myself. It's not a native app, but behaves that way. Yeah, you're using some sort of like web view or something like that. Wait, what am I saying, web view? You don't do web... No, wait. No, you do web development. It's, what's his name? Smrda. Smrda does not. Okay, let's do this. Okay, I'm sure I want to create this migration. Yes. Enter name for the migration stuff, because I'm going to start over anyway. But I want to make sure I understand this process. You can now edit and apply it by running Prisma Migrate Dev. So, what have we got here? Let me get myself up to speed with just like catching some of this stuff up. This, yep. Okay, create. Did anything change with you? No, that's a change we're gonna have to persist in a moment. Much normal browser, but web view around it. Yeah, that sounds pretty common. All of this works. To do image upload should be separate field and support Node.js. We actually do support that now. Pull file uploads into dedicated route. Pull file uploads. I don't think we need to do that either. Cool. Legend owners. That's gonna have to change in a moment, because we're not gonna have this idea of owners. Cool. We're gonna put that up there. Pet ID. Yeah, I think we get rid of that. Delete user. Yep. Get rid of that. Schema, seed, migration, and we'll add all of these back. Cool. So with that, we can say like cleaning up unused stuff. Write good commit messages, kids. It helps you in the future. This seems like a false positive error check, because I'm not actually having errors here, and this wasn't generating an error before. I wonder if maybe npm outdated. Yo, if you guys have any good ideas for stuff you want to see me work on, let me know, because once this project's done, I'm going to start filming it next week. The course, I'm going to start filming. And yeah, I'm gonna have I'm gonna have to pick up a new project after that. Image size we are not using. npm rm image size. I'm gonna update all of this stuff, because that's the mood. That's the sort of mood I'm in right now. What do we do when you notice that a Laravel package exposes data which you yourself was hiding, and the package just ignores it? Exposes data in what sense? So if we're talking Laravel and that could just like still live on the server, or is it exposing data to the client? Depends on the level of exposure. Is it exposed within your system, or is it exposed to the public? What is the nature of the data? Is it highly sensitive data, like what is it, PII, personally identifiable information? Exposes database data. Okay. To the client. Okay, that's pretty exposed. And is it personally identifiable information, or security information for your system? Like, you know, is it stuff that you kind of would rather not have on the client? And when you say to the client, is it like actually being visible on the HTML, or is it just like a JSON response that technically the data is available, but people have to do with it what they will? Like, people have to basically search for it. Make sense? Yes, you can see the IDs. Okay, which increment? Okay, that's a good question. Still depends on the nature of the database entities, because some things are like, cool, I don't necessarily want you to see things, entities or database items that you did not maybe create or own. But if you do randomly happen to stumble upon it, that's like security-wise, that's okay. If that's not okay, you have a couple of issues. One, if it auto increments, obviously it's easy to guess. Like I can just like enter a URL for the whatever I'm currently looking at, modify the ID, increment it by 1, and I can guess what the next one is. Big security hole. If that is the case, then you have to introduce a layer of authorization where when that request comes in, you say, hey, who is this user? Is this user allowed to see this route or entity? If not, return 403 or something like that. You can't do nothing with the data. You're controlling that. Yeah, you can't do nothing, but even if you have read access to something that you're not supposed to see, that's still a problem. And this is still sort of skirting around your original question of what do you do, because I don't really know your system to understand what you're capable of doing, right? But if you can put an authenticated route in front of the data that people aren't supposed to be able to see, that's obviously a good solution. That's one reason why I don't use auto incrementing IDs for anything, because they're easy to guess, and also, I mean, technically, like scalability issues. I don't like to get premature with that conversation, but for scaling things, if you end up separating data across multiple databases, those are going to increment at different rates, or they both start at 0. You're going to have entries in both of those separate databases with the same IDs, whereas generating something that's like a unique ID, guaranteed to be unique ID, works a little bit better. But you don't expose them yourself. Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Again, it still kind of depends on the nature of the data. If it's something that's harmless and it's just like, that kind of sucks, I don't really want to show that, is it a big deal that other people see it? No, right? Yeah, it's hard to answer that question. I think I would try to not expose unnecessary data as much as possible, because exposing data you think is safe and then discovering that you shouldn't have been is a much more difficult situation to be in than knowing that the data that you're exposing is safe and then like adding more later on. Yeah. Thing that's bugging you. Yeah, there's like different layers of solutions for that. One is, and I guess the real problem is like it's some sort of system that someone else controls and they're not fixing, right? Like they generate the output, like a plugin system or something like that, and you don't really have control over. You can submit some sort of ticket, some sort of support ticket that's requesting what you're looking for. You can do a fork of the project and implement it yourself. You could do a pull request of the project where you implement it yourself and then you ask that work to be brought into the project so that then it does exist. Or you can do things that are a little bit more hacky, like if it's just on the client side and you just want to hide the data, you could use CSS, I don't know if that, I mean, I guess another thing you could do is if you have a package that doesn't necessarily return the data to the client, but returns it, and then you have a little bit of if you have the opportunity to have a middleware that intercepts the response. Yeah, well, yeah, that's what you told them, but it depends on the data, right? You don't want to do that with credit cards. It's in the source code. Yeah, I don't know what as HTML attributes. Gotcha. Yeah. Fork, fix, and pull request. Yeah. That's a lot of effort, and maybe it's good. It might help a lot of people too, so that'd be cool. Okay, so there's no way to get the output HTML on the server side and do some sort of regex search and replace to just remove those, right? Is it HTML attributes? Because those shouldn't be visible. Dev vid mount and click a video. Okay. Let's do this. I'm not gonna get some weird videos, right guys? Check the HTML. Let's do this. Oh. Okay, so we're saying something in here. Check the source code. No videos are normal. Okay, so if I look at the actual video element, that's gonna be somewhere around here. Oh, there it is. Initial data, basically what Livewire, yeah. Append the data it needs to change data and update the state. Just react. Initial data, look that up. Okay, so let's find. Okay, so it's this, I see. So it's doing, right. It's doing some weird like JSON. Okay, no, it's this like, yeah, they basically have to like append locale, get effects, listeners. This is like the hydration. Oh, like, what do you mean? Initial data. Yeah, it's the same thing. Oh, there's a bunch of them. Okay. Ah, okay, I see. And I'm presumably each of these components are going to be. I'm just assuming things here, but each of these would represent like a component that gets like swapped out with the HTML gets swapped out, and this is like the data that it needs or something like that. Ugh, so hard to read. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see them all. So is the question like, how do I just get rid of this in the HTML? I mean, the client's not seeing that. It's, you know, it doesn't take a expert hacker to open up DevTools and see this. Question is, how, you know, is there any... Yeah. On user actions. Yeah, so this is, okay, so this is the data it needs to react. Okay, copy paste it. Let's go down here, seed. Open up the file. Da, 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 da. Ba, 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 ba. Oh, I hate when VS Code does that. Okay, I mean, I think I would have to URL decode it or something like that to replace these entities, which is annoying, but ID is this, right? Name is layout front-end modals, .save to playlist, locale is English, watch. Yeah, I probably wouldn't worry about this. I need a new file in JSON. Oh, just new file. All right. Select a language. JSON. I don't think that's gonna work, Stony. Yeah, video ID equals 8. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that because the ID doesn't. Well, again, I personally would prefer to use a different ID format than an auto-incrementing one. But regardless, the ID itself is not private information, right? The ID doesn't really matter. And the fact that someone can take an ID and then guess the next one, that only matters if it really matters to you, if you want to prevent someone from being able to do that. Deleted some of my... Oh, did I? No, I didn't. I don't have any changes here besides the stuff that I did delete earlier on purpose. That's fine. So also, hi, hey Rugmat, what's going on? Thanks for being the Hawkeyes on me. And I said hawk eyes, not hot guys. And the only reason I made that correction is because we've never met in person. I don't want to make any assumptions about, you and your hotness or your guyness. So yeah, Phil, to get back to your question about the IDs. The ID is not going to give away any sort of private information, like personally identifiable information, right? The only reason the ID is man, I don't think so, unless maybe it is that click. I did copy extra line. You're right. I'm a naughty child and I should be punished. Okay, so I copied a few extra lines. Look at that. Oh, several lines. Okay, so this is where it would actually end, right? Let's copy that. Let's go new line. Let's go select the language, JSON. And is this going to work? So I paste this and I hit save. No. The HTML entity encoding is still gonna mess it up. Regardless, we've got ID in here somewhere. Here, ID and quote equals 8, right? That's the ID that we're worried about. What am I working on? I'm working on I'm working on answering questions and being interesting. I'm working on therapy. I'm working on a lot of stuff. Working on, still dealing with how this 2 years of pandemic, but oh, but you were talking about code. Yeah. And all the relations. It has normal quotes. Yeah, it has, wait. This is HTML encoded quotes. We might be talking about different things. Okay, so if I go and just like replace all these, that might even be enough. Right? Or double quotes maybe? Yeah, temp JSON. Okay, something like this, right? Cool. It's looking how it's kind of supposed to look. And we're worried about this ID saying, "Hey, you're giving away this information that someone could see and say, oh, if I know that there's a video with ID of 8, I can guess that there probably is a video with ID of 9. Again, hey, don't you talk about my JSON. My JSON is perfectly valid, okay? I think. It looks valid. Rugmat's going to come in here with the eagle eyes again and tell me I'm wrong, but that's okay. So ID doesn't give away secret information. It doesn't really matter if someone can guess what the next ID is, because that form of security where you use something like a UUID is going to be like, instead of an auto incrementing ID, we have something that's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, something that looks like a UUID. Even this is not secure enough. Well, even this is not secure if it's something that really needs to be private, because this follows the principle of security through obscurity, where you're saying, well, it's nearly impossible for anyone to guess what another video ID is, therefore we don't have to necessarily protect it. But if someone could somehow guess it, and takes that ID and maybe throws it into a URL and then ends up on the page where that video exists, and that video is private information, or maybe a video of like a doctor and their patient, and you have like not data that you can legally share, then security through obscurity is not enough. And then you would need to take other measures, like say, okay, if someone can take a URL, change a couple characters, throw it into the URL, and by chance finds another valid ID, and that page will load, then what you need to do is incorporate a layer of authorization that says, you know, maybe it does it with a cookie and says, hey, when this request comes in, pluck the cookie off the request, see if the user session is on that cookie. If it's a valid user session, if it's not a valid user session, go back with like an unauthenticated request. If it's a valid user session and we can verify that that user's in the database, or that user doesn't exist in the database, go back and say it's an unauthenticated request. If the user's in the database and the user doesn't have access to this ID, throw, you know, another unauthenticated request, and only if the request has a cookie, and that cookie has an auth token, and that auth token is valid, and that auth token, that session represents a user in the database, and that user that's in the database has access to this video, then you can load it. And regardless whether you use a more obscure format of ID or a less obscure, like a guessable one, that still applies. It still matters on the content of what's being loaded on that page. I don't like to use UUIDs, but I like to use some guaranteed unique ID generator, just because it makes it easy. It makes it easier to like automatically implement obscurity or security through obscurity. But yeah, it's not something that you can necessarily depend on for private information. Now, to get Phil's worried that this data does end up, because that LiveWire needs, it will help a hacker gain access to something that they are not supposed to. Again, that depends on the content. Now, I think the concern here is not that video IDs are being sent to the HTML. I think that, well, there's a couple things here. But I think that, yeah, the concern is not that video IDs are being sent to the HTML, because it also shows, it does not show the database connection. There's no way. Where? This is the data, right? ID, name, I know the name of the component, I guess. I understand it's salty about having to put in the effort to make the video encoder tick as it does and let it be for nothing. There's no way. Okay. I mean, to make you... okay, it says the connection is the MySQL. Yeah, that's like... It gives like a tiny bit of information, but it really only gives the connection type. And the only thing that you can really pull from this connection type is that you're using MySQL. That can give you a hint as to what port the application might be running on. But I almost feel like you maybe don't even have to worry about that. Because one, the connection string for MySQL is going to be something like, what is it? Like MySQL : / I don't know, url.com / or port. I don't remember off the top of my head what the SQL default port is, but the Postgres one is like 5432, and then like the table name, right? And then in addition to that, you would need, let's see, the username and the password, and then the @ symbol or something like that, right? So yeah, they have the database engine that's running, but they don't have the username, they don't have the password, they don't have the URL. They might be able to figure it out if it's also running at the same URL that your API or backend is running. They don't have the port, although with MySQL, if you don't use a custom port, they could maybe guess what the default port is, and they wouldn't have the table name. All this to say that yes, it's one less bit of information that they would have to figure out. I don't think it's worth worrying about though, because if anyone is using a hacker, if anyone's like trying to hack your MySQL database, they're just going to try MySQL. That's one of the most common databases anyway, and they're going to try the most common ports as well. They're not going to say, well, we better not hack this person because we don't know what their connection type is. So yeah, I don't think I would, like, I wouldn't voluntarily include that information if I was building a response, but I'm not too worried about that being there. You only hold our stack of 3 different ones on one Docker system, 3 containers, 1 database, and your authentication. Reverse proxy. Yeah. I forgot to mention, and I was totally going to say the same thing, is if you, like, even if you can figure out, I mean, even if you have all of the information to connect to the database, and you have the username and the password and the host and the port and the table, you can still, like, if a hacker were to gain access to all that, you can still prevent them from accessing it with a firewall and say, hey, you know, I have a firewall, and you're gonna say that the firewall settings are like only allow, this is all pseudocode, but only allow access from, you know, IP 123 to port 5432, right? And then even if someone has your database credentials, they could get in, or they could try from their machine, SSH, or send a MySQL command, and your firewall can say, oh, what is the IP address that this request is coming in from? If it doesn't match the IP in your allow list, then it's not going to get through anyway. I'm gonna side with Stony here. This is one of those that, like, when you see, so this level of information is not concerning at all. Just to say the database engine that your application is running on is not enough. Like, I mean, I tell everyone, you're watching my stuff, I'm running Postgres, I'm running what's my server, Remix, you know, like, all of that information is, like, you could make the argument that, yeah, if someone knows that I'm running Remix and then they somehow scour the Remix code base, find some vulnerability, they can use that to attack my code. So would I be safer by just not mentioning what my tech stack is? Yeah, technically I would be safer, but it's such a low, I don't know, unlikely thing that that's not something I worry about. And, you know, to Stoney's point, YouTube is more lucrative to hack. Well, the most lucrative is wherever you can get in, right? Oh no, temp JSON. I don't want you. Delete you. Yeah, Stony, hopefully, or Phil's, hopefully that can put your mind at ease. That is like not nearly enough information for me, if I was a hacker, for me to be interested in trying to hack you. The ID thing, the fact that it shows the IDs, the one solution I can say is if they give you the opportunity to use something that is not an auto-incrementing ID, that may be an easy solution, right? Use UUIDs, use CUID, but yeah, I mean, if you don't have control over it, that's not nearly enough of an issue to warrant worrying about and trying to fix it. I mean, maybe reach out to the author and say, hey, I'm worried about having my connection type publicly available. Is there something we can do about that? And they may say yes or no, and whatever. Even if they say no, it's not a huge deal. Hopefully that was a helpful answer. You already use UUIDs. Okay, well, because the ID that came back, but for every, but also IDs. Okay. Yeah, and if you have a system that already checks, authenticates that a user can do whatever with whatever ID they're trying to do, you know, someone might be able to guess a route that exists that they're not allowed to view, and they may be able to go to that route, but unless they are authenticated to do something with it, it doesn't really matter all that much. Okay, what was I doing? This left hook thing keeps coming back. I was gonna close that. Close that. I was trying to do this. Yes, this stuff. We're gonna update everything. Yeah. Npm that at latest. Gonna do a major version upgrade. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's basically what I said. You will stop. Yeah, you know, the solution if you don't want to do that is show the UUID thing. Yeah. I mean, or CUID. I'm not a fan of UUID. Cool. Post CSS CLI. Don't need you. npm rm post CSS. We don't need this preset env either. Okay. We are getting rid of. We're gonna keep SQLite because I think what I'm gonna do is have like maybe support both SQLite and Postgres and give the user the option of which they want to do. And then we'll do npm outdated. See what we've got. Remove 55 package. Awesome. Bio break. I got it. I got that a little bit late. Cool. So npm install that latest dev ESLint config latest node latest react latest serve latest. We'll get the TypeScripty stuff for ESLint. We'll get ESLint itself. Minor version update, upgrade. Whoo! Fingers are getting tired. Prisma ERD generator, we're gonna actually remove that one. And look at that, it went from a .0 to a 1.0. Or 0 dot to a 1 dot. That is official, but we're gonna get rid of it. And with all these changes, hopefully everything works, and I can do this migration and finish up, and everything will look good and work good. Let's see, package.json. What else do I have in here that I don't need? Zod Prisma I do not need. Guess I probably should have done these removals first. That's alright. npm rm Zod Prisma and ULID. Anything else in there? Let's see. That's my scripts. Prisma, remix. Bedrocks I don't need. Oh, thank goodness. That was quick. I hope you didn't pull a muscle. Bedrocks. What else we got? .env we need. QS. Am I not using it? I think I am using it. And otherwise, React DOM, yup, we don't need. Any other left hook? Left hook we don't need. That's really weird. Faker, I am using Mermaid CLI, we don't need. Who was number 1? Not 2. What? Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, remix run dev, ESLint config, TypeScript, auto prefixer we don't need. ESLint, plugin, post CSS we don't need. Prisma, ERD generator, and then Tailwind. Awesome. That should be it. Okay, let's do utils. Utils, please. I thought I was using query string here. I totally am. Okay, cool. Cool, got rid of a bunch of unneeded dependencies. Npm Audit. And we'll just make sure. What do we have? Look at this, we're getting down our moderate severity vulnerabilities. Npm Audit got severity. Fix available, Npm Audit. Oh, I did the wrong thing. I didn't want Npm Audit, I wanted Npm Outdated, but sure, we'll do an audit fix as well. Should be able to fix node modules got. Perfect. Because everyone loves entertaining watching npm package updates for entertainment, right? Yeah, that's what we're here for. Cool, almost done. I'm not gonna update a major version of React because I'm not sure if Remix is going to support that. So this is as far as I'm going to go. We'll get back in, do another dev mode on a server that is going to be broken. So let's see. Right, what I mean by a server that's going, what the hell? Huh. Whew. Woo! It was telling me that I had to reinitialize my Git repo. That would have been scary. It's thinking. It's thinking. It's thinking. Still thinking. Well, anyway, I should have this new migration file. Okay, and this is the weird thing that Prisma does that I'm finally getting around to, is that when you make a change to your schema, and it's a breaking change, it expects you to write the SQL to like consolidate that, or not consolidate, what's the word? Reconcile that. I always have to make this move in order for me to remember how to say reconcile. So if you want to do some database reconciliation, you are expected to write the SQL yourself, because at some point Prisma, let's see, I made changes to Prisma, and I said, hey, I'm going to have this pet model that you already know about, and with data that already exists in the database, and I'm going to modify that. And I'm going to say add, let's see, what did we do to the pet model? We added, created at and updated at. Pretty simple change. But because data already exists in the database, Prisma says, I'm out. I'm not even going to touch it. Which is annoying because there are tools like Connects, which allows you to do migrations up and down and run like those queries in the language that you're used to, which is JavaScript. So how do I actually do this? Alter table, drop table, drop table, drop table. That's fine. Alter table pet, add column breed. Alter column birthday, drop default, yeah. Yeah, that's something you have run into. Yeah, and this is the thing that I don't know if I want to try and do this on stream because I'm going to embarrass myself. But if you go to connectsjs.org, so I can show, they have new documentation. That's awesome. But let me show what migrations look like. The way that I've used it before is you have sort of the same thing with the CLI. You'd say connects, make a new migration. And what that's going to do is generate a file for you, which is the migration file. Works very similar to how Prisma handles this, because what Prisma does is it says, Connects basically makes a file where Prisma makes a folder, and Connects makes a JS file where Prisma makes a SQL file. And in addition to these folders or these files existing in the source control or the source code where you have version control, there's also records in the database that says, hey, when this application runs, check what files are in the system and make sure that we're up to date. And the database is going to have a record of whatever the most recent migration is that ran, so that you have reconciliation, or you've reconciled not reconciliation. You have parity between what the code thinks is the most recent migration and what the database knows is the most recent migration that was run. Why do you need to know that? Because the state of the database changes as you make migrations. That's the point of a migration. So differences, besides the implementation details differences, Connects gives you this idea where you can migrate to the latest thing. You can migrate up and down, which I'm sure Prisma gives you that option too. You can basically incrementally migrate from one state of the database to forward or backward. You're glad your database is generated and filled with one click. Yeah, you can do that. The problem is when you have a migration on a database that was already existing and already had data on it. Okay, Connects, you can say, hey, migrate this file, migrate down, migrate up, migrate list. Seed files, let me see. Connects files, okay. No. Okay, this is what a migration file looks like in Connects. So where in Prisma's kind of funny because it's like, hey, you want to write everything in JavaScript? Cool, here's your JavaScript client that we're going to give you. Until you have to do a migration. And then they're like, oh, you want to do a migration? Write everything in SQL. Connects says, if you want to do a migration, I just need you to write this file that says exports to a few named properties. One is up and down, so that when the migration is moving forward in time, you do an export up. When the migration has to roll back in time, it goes down. You know what I mean? But you pull data from an API based on the video files you have. It's all automated. You pull data from an API. Oh, yeah. So you're not having to deal with that. It's pretty handy. Anyway, for those of you that actually want to manage databases, unlike Stony. Just kidding, Stony. You know I love you. This is a process that I prefer because, I mean, I'm like 100% of the time writing in JavaScript anyway, and 100% of the time using the tool that is like the database querying tool. Therefore, being able to write my migrations up and down in that same tool, very handy. Having to jump from JavaScript into SQL land is kind of annoying. I'm glad you got a kick out of that one, Stony. Stoned Beagle. Okay, I'm gonna read this, how to do this off stream, because no one wants to sit and watch me write terrible SQL code. Migrations and read documentation. Migrations, please. Squashing migrations. Customizing migrations, that's what it was. You want to watch it. Of course you do, Phils. You like to watch people deal with pain. What is the opposite of a sadomasochist? It's like someone that likes to watch someone else. You're a sadomasochistic voyeur. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Look, this is how helpful the Prisma docs are. Make a schema file that requires custom SQL, for example, to preserve existing data. Literally, the process that we're going through. They say, cool, we got a command for that. Here it is, which is the command that I ran. Step 3, modify generate SQL file, and then you know what they're literally doing here, right? Step 1, make file. Step 2, what was it? Oh no, step 1, plan changes. Step 2, create file. Step 3, step 4, yeah, we made a meme. How about that? But anyway, that's literally the layout of this. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the part that I have no idea how to do. So, renaming a field. You've written a few good statements. Teach me how it's done. Yeah, I mean, I could do it. I'm honestly probably more comfortable in SQLite. So let's see. Okay, rename the field in schema from biography or biography to biography. Run the following command to create a draft migration. Okay, npx Prisma name rename migration. Okay, and create only. That's basically what we've already done. It asked us for the name. We gave it a crappy name, and then okay, and then it's saying alter table profile drop column biography add column text null. After all. Okay, rename. Cool. We are not actually renaming anything, right? I feel like the way to do this is to have the Prisma file open. Yeah, to have the Prisma file open so you can see what your changes were. And then write the SQL. So ID, name, type got type got changed to breed, but that's not really a rename because I have like dog, cat, bird, whatever. In fact, I think I'm going to keep the type because after all, I was using that for my cute logos or my cute images, right? Type is whatever those categories are. Breed is string. Birthday is daytime. Image ID, image created at, updated at. Okay. Alter table, rename that to that. And we have alter table. Yeah, we definitely don't want to drop that. I've actually regenerated my file, so I have to npx Prisma. What is it again? I've already made my changes again, so I have to drop that migration file. And it was npx Prisma something. npx Prisma migrate dev create only. Cool. Error, cannot parse attribute relation. Okay. We didn't have that problem a moment ago. Schema loaded, cool. Data source, Postgres, schema public at localhost 5432. Error while interacting with query engine node API library. Ah, I know what happened. What happened was, yes, this error that I was having, this error was coming from a newer version of Prisma. And I had an older version of Prisma, which didn't actually have this error. So they've changed something. Another fun feature of using newer-ish tools. And let's do relation. And they've changed how one-to-one relations work. Yes, but you know what? What's the fun in doing everything the easy way, right? Okay, so the weird thing is, you're still in dev, so just empty the data. I am not going to empty the database because the problem with this system, or the thing that I need to actually understand how to do, is the hard stuff. Can't just do the easy stuff. We got to figure out how to do the hard stuff the right way. So we've got this relationship. It references an ID. It's literally the same as they have here, right? Let's copy this over. Let's see. We've got pet and upload. They have user and post. It's one-to-many, right? Mine is not one-to-many. It's not technically the same. Mine is a one-to-one. Mine is a one-to-one. Let's see, 1, 1, 2, 1. Cool. Give me the example. All right, we're gonna try this again with data, or an example that actually is exactly the same. So one-to-one, right? We have an ID. I'm gonna go ahead and make it the same as mine. Right, so their ID defaults to CUID. Cannot be used on field type of int. Cool, that's fine, that's fine. We'll make that a string. Ah! How? Error parsing. What if I do unique? Okay. It's not matching the type of the reference field. Okay, error parsing attribute. Let me actually read this. The type of field user ID in the model profile is not matching. Ah. There you go. Ha ha. That's the problem. Yep, okay, cool. Got it. I figured it out. I figured it out. Image ID here needs to also be unique. Booyah! And that needs to be unique for whatever reason. I would presume that it would inherently be unique because it is unique. But I guess it's saying that you can't have two pets with the same image? Because it's one-to-one, not one-to-many. That makes sense. Okay. Okay. Yes, that does make sense. Stony. Rein it in, buddy. Not cool. Not appropriate. Gosh, and you know, the next thing is you're going to make a clip of it, and then you're going to have a clip of it, and I'm not going to know. I don't even want to know what you're going to be doing with those sound effects on your own, in your apartment, probably. Whatever. Okay, we're going to try this again. We fixed the error. We also learned that updating software can lead to things like that. It's okay because even though the code was technically going to work fine, nah, Stony, I know you're just you can't help what you do in your free time. Okay, this is going to generate the new schema. Look at that. Look at that. It's going. We found changes that cannot be executed. That's to be expected. Added required column, added required column, added the required column without a default value. Wait, required column? Oh yeah, because it's going to default anyway. Updated at probably should not be null either. Okay, and you're still thinking about stuff. So in the meantime, I want to do not null. I do null and undefined. Yeah, okay. Email undefined. If null, don't include an update. Okay, that's not what I was actually looking for. Let's do not null or required or whatever. Creating a database schema. Yeah, that's all cool. Not null. Ah, question mark is how you do optional. Cool. That makes sense. So let's see. Birthday should actually be optional. Breed should be optional. Type. I guess type should be optional. Created at, updated at should be required. Name is required. ID is required. For an upload. The ID is required. The name is probably the name is probably required. URL is required. Size is optional. Type is optional. Cool. One more change that I made to my schema after doing all that. So let's cancel that. Let's rerun it one more time. Where are files? Cool. Everything's up to date. Yes, looks good. Cool. And we've got schema generating. It's going to complain. Any minute now. And in the meantime, I'm just going to get swept away by the 8-bit music. Cool. Found changes that cannot be executed. We didn't get to this point last time, so enter a name for this migration. Stony likes moans. That's so ridiculous. Sorry, Stony. You really brought it upon yourself, though. Okay, you can now edit it and apply it. Yes, by Prisma Migrate Dev. So, this is the thing that I want to get to. We have our migration. You're about to draw the first... I want to actually open the migration file, please. Okay. So, what does this code look like? Alter table drop constraints. Yes. We drop all the constraints first. And then we can actually drop those tables, right? Drop, drop, drop. Yes, we do. Alter, alter, alter. Drop, drop, drop. Great. And then, yep, I accidentally clicked a thing. We alter two tables. One is the pet table. We add column. We alter column just to drop, to make it optional, so it doesn't have the not null feature. And then the birthday, we drop the default value. Cool. All of these changes, I think, can actually run. So, that was a very nice way for me to say I was going to write some SQL, and for me to say I was going to write some SQL and not actually have to write some SQL. Because all of these are non-breaking changes. We didn't do a rename. We did add columns, but that shouldn't be a breaking change because they're just columns that didn't exist. We didn't drop existing columns, so easy enough. I think the only reason we would have had a breaking change is, I don't know, maybe if we added not nullable to something and there were existing entries in the database that were null. So let's give this a try, huh? npx Prisma Migrate Dev. Nope. Migration failed to apply. Stony likes mods. That's not going to end up in the source control, so we don't have to. Well, yeah, it's not going to end up in the course, so that's okay. New migration cannot be applied before the error is recovered from. Read more about how to resolve migration issues. Okay. Database error. Column updated at relation pet contains null values. Is that so? Let's reload the database table. Or maybe like reconnect and see what we've got. Database, Postgres, schemas, public, tables. Nope. Did not actually run those changes. So, what am I supposed to do here? Prisma? Prizzy? Prizdude? Prisley? Precisely, what am I supposed to do? If migration fails, you modify migration before running it. You add a mandatory not null column to a table that already has data. That's what I was saying. The migration process stopped. Each migration table has logs, columns. Each migration in the Prisma migrations table. So in the Prisma migrations table, we have two logs here. There's Stony likes bones. A migration failed. Okay, that's everything that was printed to the console a moment ago. Very parsely, some error, apply script with migration. Okay, but that's just telling me applied step. Okay, started at applied step count. Not super helpful. Yeah. Stony likes moans. It's all over. It's the new hotness. Rollback, optionally fix the issue at redeploy. Manually complete the migration step. Manually complete the migration step and resolve the migration. Cool. Option 1, mark the migration as rolled back. The following example demonstrates how to roll back migration, fix the issue, and redeploy. Prisma, migrate, resolve, rolled back. Okay, migrate, deploy, manually complete the migration. Prisma, migrate, resolve. Jesus, okay. In the production database, make sure that any manual steps exactly match the steps in the migration file. Okay. Fix failed migration with migrate diff. We're going to try this one because I haven't seen it, and the other one sounds really sketchy. Awesome. Oh man, Stoney, you're really getting all worked up, huh? Okay. I feel like maybe I'm trying to interpret those emojis and it was a big mistake. So I'm gonna look away now and maybe pour some vinegar into my eyeballs later. What has been seen cannot be unseen. Okay, to URL from empty to empty, from schema to schema. Awesome. Also not helpful. So let's try it one more time. Migrate dev, let's see what it says. These are the things I need to do. It's gonna say alter column. I think I need to... It's gonna complain again and say that whatever it said before, relation pack contains null values. Updated at, which means I would need to I mean, when do I change that? Do I have to, like... Ah, okay, I get it. It's telling me that all of these commands are safe to actually run, but it runs them, oh, no, I don't want to continue. No, thank you. Okay, what happened there? The one time it tells me it's fine, the other time it tells me I'm going to blow away all your data? Alright, well, let's try it this way. SQL. And I think I can probably actually copy everything in here and paste it. Cool, it's going to run through all of these. We're going to execute this command. It didn't have any issues with that. And hopefully, I can, like, script was changed, you want to save these changes? No, that's fine. Hopefully I can reconnect here. Database, Postgres, schemas. That's one thing I don't love about dbeaver. Didn't work. One thing I don't love about dbeaver is it doesn't... What is it? It doesn't, like, automatically update the changes. You have to, like, hit this little refresh button and then sometimes open this up again. And all of this should have ran, right? So I should have dropped some tables. I didn't get an error. If I go to pet and I see the data, I do see that it looks the same as it did before. I don't have created at and updated app. So let's see what the heck is going on here. Can I run this again? Okay. Table person to pet doesn't exist. Table person to pet does not exist, in fact. Okay, cool. Drop table person to pet. Fine. You're right. I agree. Okay. Ah, is it only running the last command? Where I just drop table user? Yep, tabled user does not exist. Okay, so that's a problem. Gosh, I really have to do this all one at a time? Alright, fine. We'll run that. Let's try to get rid of that. Drop foreign keys, cool. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Cut that. Execute that. Person to pet does not exist. We know that already. Cool. That's all one command. Because it's all comma separated. Run that. Contains null values. Here's where the error was. So this is the error we have to fix. Okay. Add column breed, which is type of text. Add column created at. Okay. Add column updated at. Yeah, fellas, this is one I'm going to have to come back to because I think that one solution is to default the updated at to now, which also makes sense. Oh, wait. Yeah, that does make sense. I don't know why Prisma was saying that this is a thing, because this doesn't seem to actually do anything. Unless that happens automatically generated in the Prisma client, I'm not sure. But it may be as simple as doing something like this. Burp, 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 burp. Or maybe after, like that. So I'm gonna have to explore that, but I don't want that. I don't want to go with like a simple cop out like that. So I think what I'm gonna do is figure out if we wanted to do the actual SQL-y way of doing it. We would have to. How do you add a column? Set it as a not nullable column when there's already entries in the database that would inherently be null. So that is not a question I'm gonna have time to answer because I gotta get going. But nevertheless, it was a good stream today. We almost have this whole thing ready for production, I'd say. And then I can just clean up some of these less appropriate migration names, and only the things that are required to actually run the app are going to be there. We have, yeah, layouts, default, cool, components. The dialogue. The dialogue I do want to fix. That is the last component that I need for this to be like minimum required components, in my opinion. Cool. Cool. Well, thanks for hanging out, y'all. I'm going to do a raid today. Where are we going to raid? I'm thinking B. Dougie. B. Dougie. Or Metal and Coffee. Let's do that. Raid. Gotta try app. Awesome. Push the latest update yesterday. The I mean, you want me to try it on the stream, or you want me to try it just try it? Oh, did I not do that right? You're off to Elfie? Alright. I did the raid wrong, y'all. Sounds good. What? Gosh, I have no idea. I forgot how to raid. Isn't it /raid? You have to create an account. Okay. B. Dougie Yo. Yeah, I'm down. I'm down. I think MNC has... MNC has raids disabled. Okay. MNC. I don't know what that means. I guess I'm rating Purple Elf. Maybe I did it wrong, but I got it. So, you know, props to me. I don't know. We'll go check it out. Thanks for hanging out anyway. I will be back on... Oh, Metal and Coffee. Yeah, but the thing was I was trying to raid B. Dougie. But I guess B. Dougie's missing out because we're going to Purple Elf. So, catch y'all... What's today? Wednesday? Catch y'all Friday. Oh. A little bit of a surprise next Friday. Maybe not a happy one, but I'll hit you up then. Yes, hit you up on Discord when I get an account. Sounds good. All right, catch y'all then.